Hi, internet computery people. I'm Daniel, and I'm gonna build a computer. I've saved my money. I've had an old laptop that was beefy enough to game, but it's put in its time, just like this cat. This video is for who? This is for people who are curious about building their first computer, beginners in computer building for sure, or advanced computer builders who just want to ridicule me, find all the flaws and mistakes I make, and point them out in the comments section. So please do that also. All right, so I've got all my pieces here. The first video is going to be me explaining how I picked everything I picked, and the second video is going to be putting everything together. And the third video is going to be figuring out why the computer did not work in the second video. So stay tuned for that series. Now we're going to go into the pieces. A baby kitty. Zadie's here. She's excited to be a little PC building cat. Are you ready to build a computer? She likes this case. We should talk about the case first. Yeah, well, I have to open it, but this is the case I chose. Move things. It is the Thermaltake Versa J24TG. And why did I choose this case? Because it has a mesh front and tons of airflow. It also has, well, we'll show later, but pretty fans with the RGB lighting, the inescapable, beautiful red, green, blue LED lighting. It's in there. It's got a see-through window here so I can see all my pieces. Why do I want a see-through window? Because all the pieces have red, blue, green, RGB lighting. Red, green, blue. I don't know. All has this lighting. My processor came with it. My motherboard came with it. So many things came with the lighting. I figured it's just a part of life now. Let me get something I can see through. And that's why I chose this case. The processor I chose was the newish AMD Ryzen 7 2700X. That is an 8-core processor. It is one of their top-of-the-line Ryzens now, just under the Threadripper line, which just sounded too intimidating for me. Ryzen sounds kind of like a Mortal Kombat character. I'm into it. And this is the brain of your computer, as many people say. They don't tell you what the other body parts are, but they do say the brain. So we're going to try and figure out everything from the endocrine to the circulatory system here. This is a medium tier build. I spent under $1,500 on this build. I wanted to spend $1,000. That didn't happen. That is easy to do when buying computer parts. This says $320 on it. I ended up getting it for $280 at my local Micro Center. They had a price match. Check your local IRL stores, in addition to your Newegg's and Amazons and all that online stuff. So I got a good deal on that because I paired it with this motherboard. The Aorus X470 Gaming 7 Wi-Fi. This is one of about 3 or 4 motherboards in its tier. It is one of kind of the top tier motherboards for these new processors. The reason I got it is because many people convinced me that the VRM on this board, which essentially is the electrical components that regulate how much power your processor will get and how much it needs and can feed the beast what it needs. It was highly recommended that this new processor needed a motherboard that could pair and handle everything that it throws out. So I got that. It also has all sorts of pretty red RGB lights on it. The inescapable lights. I wanted to get can you get a cheaper one with no lights? You can't. You can't do that. That's not how it works. So We're gonna have a neon disco in my computer. I'm not even gonna look at the computer. I'm gonna look inside the computer, turning it on with no monitor. That's my thing. You ready to keep continuing? Makeout session, excuse me. So we have our processor, which is the brain. We have our motherboard, which is kind of like the skeleton, because that's where everything gets plugged into. We have our case, which is like the skin, eyeball, flesh, kind of outers, hair. And now let's move on to the RAM, which I think would be like the kind of like the digestive system, or I'm not sure. The RAM is gonna help me process all of my tasks and make sure everything goes smoothly. So I think digestion sounds good. I went with this G-Skill Trident RGB. It has really good reputation. They have a brand of it that is specially compatible with Ryzen processors. So look for the X on the back. It'll have its product number, and instead of the GT, it'll say 16GTZR. Make sure there's an X if you have a Ryzen processor. If you have Intel, it's not a big deal. And also I've heard it's not a huge deal either way. But if things can be optimized, I tried to make sure I could find a way for things to be optimized. This is my hard drive. It's a little baby. Now we have these fast hard drives, SSDs. There's no mechanical pieces, so they're much quicker and less prone to failure. And these are the even smaller ones, the M2s. This is by Western Digital, blue. It is a 1 terabyte solid state drive, and it has this tiny, cute little form factor right there, M2 2280. We put that there. That is the memory. That is the, what would that be for the body? We already have a brain, so brains have memory, but that's the memory part of the brain. Brains have multiple parts. Graphics card. This is the muscle of your computer. If you need a little more muscle to process games, to render videos, any kind of heavy tasks. And I went with the Gigabyte GeForce GTX 1070i. This was probably took me the longest to research, was to figure out navigating the market of graphic cards over the last few years. What came, what went, what's about to come out, which makes something less expensive. And also I'm building this computer at the beginning of 2019. I bought the parts late 2018. And luckily, this was after the Bitcoin mining boom, where all these digital currency, cryptocurrency people were buying video cards from poor innocent video gamers to mine their crazy coin fuels. And the poor gamers got priced out of the market, and it stunk. But now, all that stuff is worthless. There's no point in mining it anymore. So prices are good again. And I snagged this baby for $370 on its way out with Monster Hunter and Fortnite game combo. So it's like $270 kinda, if you think about it, even though there's no value to them. But to me, it has value. So, and I can overclock this, which is a whole other story, get a little more juice out of it, and then it'll be like a 1080 even, like my friend got, and I couldn't get one because they're all gone. So, suck it, Matt. This is the power supply right here. And this would be the electrical system of the body, I guess. That's easy enough. Kind of the heart, because it gives the pumping power that it needs, and we don't have a heart yet, do we? And that's a pretty complicated body part to forget. So this is the heart. It's another power supply. It's got 750 watts, which is way more than I need, apparently. All of the online part builders will tell you how much wattage you need. I needed somewhere around 400 for my current build, but with upgrading, I may get in the 500s, and they say you want to have more juice than you're going to need. If you need 450, you don't want to get a 500. You want to get something higher, so there's a certain amount of reserve. It's not always running at max. It's got an 80 plus gold efficiency rating, and of course, why not more RGB? Why not get fun lighting on a power supply? I'm going to be looking at all of that instead of the computer, as I said. So these are our pieces. Things I did not get. I did not get a big hard drive, an HDD for maximum storage. That's something I am going to get for your slower storage, but your long-term storage when you're going to have many, many terabytes of who knows what you're into. So that's there. And also a monitor, which is not a part of my build because they're too expensive right now. And I was pinching all the pennies I could to barely squeeze away. I'll show you my cost part breakdown list. But monitors is a whole other issue. Looking for a gaming monitor with ultra high quality, somewhere between 1440 and 4K is very hard. Something with G-Sync, because G-Sync goes with this. It's the screen tearing prevention thing. There's FreeSync and G-Sync depending on which graphics card you have, even though just the other day that wall has been knocked down and apparently you can download software so you can use either monitor, which is good news for me because I'll be able to hopefully snag a monitor for $100 or $200 less when I do. But all the monitors I want are like $500, $600, which is almost half of what all this costs for the actual machine. So I'm going to plug it into a Tamagotchi and run it on that. I don't care what it looks like, even though it defeats the purpose of having all these shiny things if I don't have a monitor that can display it. So monitors are too expensive, so no monitor. We're not going to talk about monitor now. Send me a monitor, please. I'm reviewing monitors now that I can keep, hopefully. Well, let's build the computer.